Did the ECHL schedule makers do the Maine Mariners dirty? We talk about that along with NHL news and notes next on the Maine Hockey Report. What is good, everybody? This is the Maine Hockey Report brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. I'm your host, Benjamin Kennedy. Thank you so much for checking this out today. Hope the week is going well for you all out there. I've had a weird one. So far. I was supposed to be in Chicago, Illinois for the week for a work trip. Go to the airport on Monday, wait around. Everything gets canceled. So then I go from Portland to Boston yesterday, go to Logan. Same idea. Wait around 3-4 hours. At 7 o'clock last night, boom, flight canceled. Ugh, painful. Absolutely painful. So I am back home. Canceled the trip for the week. Gonna have to punt on it and try to get out there again another time. But yeah, a little frustrating. A lot of wasted time and energy. But the good news is I am here and we can talk some hockey. So today I really wanted to take a little bit of time and break down the Maine Mariners schedule. Really haven't had a chance to talk about that quite yet. Of course, we've had some interviews from the team and from the players here over the last couple of weeks. Big thank you to all the guys that have come on so far. Nick Anderson, Willem DeVoe, and of course, Connor Doherty, the last one out. So those have been really good. Good to see the team and the roster starting to come into form. I know all you Maine Mariner fans are anxious. You're nervous. You're seeing other teams appear to be more active. It's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And of course, we do know now that Providence has named their head coach. So really what that means for us here in Maine is that Rick Kowalsky, by all accounts, is going to be back for another season. Really good for us, selfishly. I have no idea where the level of conversation was between Providence and Coach Kowalsky. I have no inside knowledge on that. Of course, Trent Whitfield getting that job, good on him. Longtime assistant there in Providence. I think he'll do a great job. And again, selfishly for us, we get Rick Kowalsky for another year, which is pretty darn good, in my opinion. So, again, no worries. He's going to build a great roster again this year. I know we've had some losses. I know we've had some guys go overseas, but I think we can all trust in his judgment and in his just player acumen and knowing what kind of player he wants to bring in here. But let's look at the schedule as it sits right now. Opening night at Worcester. Of course, that will be October 17th. That game is starting at 6:05 down there in Worcester. It'll be a week after that before we get our home opener here at the Cross Insurance Arena. That will be Saturday, 10/24, again against those Worcester Railers. Now, a big storyline, I think, when we look at this calendar and this schedule is, oh man, not a lot of home games early. Quite honestly, only 4 out of the first 16 games are at home from 10/17 through after Thanksgiving on the 29th of November. We have 4 home games. That's it. So if you're looking to go to a game early, you better get those tickets. Go to marinersofmaine.com and get those tickets locked up because not a lot of home games early. So maybe you want to make some trips to Worcester or Reading or wherever else. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of road time for the team. And that does beg a question. Does that help or hurt a team like this? You know, obviously younger team, a lot of new pieces will be coming in. Is it good to have that kind of road time early? Does it help with bonding? You know, the team, you hear about that a lot, you know, when a team is struggling, let's say middle of the year, the best medicine they can offer up is let's go do a 10-game road trip, you know, out west or something like that, where you're forced to be together all the time. And it can help, I think, at times with bonding. But it's rough early for sure. You have got to be above 500 coming off of those first 16 games. Because we know, again, always a little bit harder on the road. So 6 of the first 8 on the road and 12 of the first 16 on the road going again to November 29th. Yeah, I think it's a hard way to start a year, but you get a lot of the road time out of the way early. And I do, again, as I just said, I feel like it can help let these guys get to know each other, spend some real quality time together. And as long as you can perform on the ice and not give up too many points on the road early, keep yourself above water, keep yourself above 500, I think that's a really good goal to get, because we know how well this team last year played at home, in no small part to the fans and the energy that they feed off of. So, that's going to be a real benefit late. Now, when we look at good home stretches, there are a handful, certainly later in the year. Let's go to the Christmas schedule. December 19th through January 3rd, there are 8 games, 7 at home. So if you're taking some Christmas break and you have some time off, you want to buy some tickets for Christmas present, that's going to be a great time to take a look at that. Also going to the end of January 29th to February 7th, 6 out of 7 will be at home. So another really good wintertime stretch at home for the boys. And then to end the season, 9 of the last 10 games at home from March 19th to April 11th. So that's a huge advantage. So if you can survive early, survive that first 16 games where you got 12 on the road, you've got a lot of time at home coming up. I think that is could be a real difference maker. Again, if you can stay in it, stay right around it early on, I think you'll have a real good chance, if you're the Maine Mariners, to lock something in and be back in the playoffs. One thing I always like to do is I like to look at what are the out-of-conference teams we're going to play. We know we don't play every team every year, which I kind of hate. I get it. I know the travel budgets are what they are. You just don't have the same kind of money to fly all over the country every week, every weekend. But we do have 4 different out-of-conference teams to look at. 2 at home, 2 on the road. First one at Idaho. That's going to be November 18th, my sister's birthday, through the 21st for 3 games. So that'll be interesting to see how they do out there. They go to Fort Wayne, January 8th and 9th for 2. And then if you're looking for some home games against somebody other than Worcester or Adirondack, let's say, they got Bloomington coming into town, January 29th through the 31st. That's for 3 games. And then just 1 against the Indy Fuel. And they'll be coming into town on February 17th. So a lot to look forward to. I know I'm excited. October 17th can't get here soon enough, and I can't wait to be back in the booth on the 24th with Mike Keeley there at the Cross. Should be a lot of fun. So if you are looking for tickets, of course, it's marinersofmaine.com. Go check those out. Still no real clarity on a promo schedule. We know there'll be a number of nights put out there. Nothing official yet, but I know that detail will be coming soon there from the team. It all comes down to this: a best-of-7 battle, and DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series all in one place with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN, spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours.
With DK Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, that text pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks expire in 1 year. Redeem one non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28th. Terms at dkng.co/audio.
As we know, it is in the middle of summer, so the NHL has been fairly quiet, but we have been getting dribs and drabs of news as the summer has gone on. And just today, we did get a big one, part of why I'm wearing the Sharks hat. Macklin Celebrini getting the new contract done out there in San Jose. $18.8 million per year over 5 years. That's $94 million for the young kid. And I'll tell you what, guys, I think he's worth every single penny. This kid is just getting started, played in 82 games a year ago, 45 goals, 70 assists for 115 points. He may just become the face of the NHL. I'm not taking that away from Connor McDavid quite yet, but man, in terms of all the young players out there, if I was starting a team, I'm starting right there. So good on San Jose for getting that done. You can avoid all the RFA garbage that Anaheim just had to go through with Carlson. You get him locked in. That's really great to see. Couple of feel-good stories out of Chicago. We're going to start with Patrick Kane returning to the Blackhawks after a couple of years up there in Detroit. Gets a 2-year deal, $8 million per season to return to Chicago. 67 games for him a year ago. Still, I'd say quite productive. 16 goals, 41 assists for 57 points. And I just think it's a feel-good thing. You know, Chicago, I think, is on, I don't know if they'll be a playoff team this year, but they're on the verge. They're growing. They've got a lot of money still out there to use, and they've got a good young nucleus now. It was a little while after that. This is back on the 18th. Connor Bedard, their young stud, got redone as well. $15 million over 5 years. That's a $75 million contract. So great to see you get Patrick Kane. Give him a couple years to work with Connor Bedard. I'm sure that Connor will learn a lot having Kaner back around there. Bedard last year, missed a little bit of time, 69 games, 30 goals, 45 assists for 75 points. And of course, we know he is starting the year injured as well. So going to be a little while before we see him back on the ice, but he's obviously a huge, huge cog to the Blackhawks' future. And just a little news locally, again, not a lot going on for the Bruins, but of course, former Bruin Georgii Merkulov moving on from the organization, going out to Colorado. He gets a 1-year deal, $850,000 for him. Played well in Providence a year ago, 70 games, 24, 37, and 61 for himself. In total, got into 11 games up here in Boston, just the 1 assist. Another one of these guys, a little bit like Fabian Lysell, where you didn't really know where he fit. And I'm not sure if the team ever quite figured that out. If they gave him a look here, there, maybe not enough of a look, maybe not a long enough look. And I think that's maybe a fair thing to say because he was certainly productive with the P Bruins. But we know Providence is going through a major overhaul with their roster structure. So I'm really not surprised that the team moved on or that he moved on from the team. I'm not sure which way that really went, but either way, he is off to Colorado, joining Fabian Lysell, who is out there as well. So good on him, and good luck. Again, I'm not cheering against these guys that leave the organization. It'd be great to see them have some success, whether it be at the AHL level or getting that next shot up at the big club. And of course, the Boston Bruins, a little bit quiet as of late. Right now, looking at Puckpedia, they have $5.39 million to play with under the salary cap. They do have a full roster already signed, 23 players already under contract going into the year. So not really sure if there's a lot more they're going to do. There has been a lot of conversation about the defensive depth. We know they went out and made some signings this year. They made the trade to get Borgen. They went out and got Connor Clifton back. They re-signed Jordan Harris. Of course, Aspero is here as well. But you've got 6, 7, 9 NHL defensemen right now locked in. Does Don Sweeney try to move one of those contracts? I think probably he does. I think he's at least trying to. I look at Yoki Haru. You're in year 2 of 3 at $3 million per season. So that would open up a little bit of money if you were to move him on and give some opportunity, whether it be for Clifton or Aspero, who played quite well last year, or Jordan Harris, who, of course, didn't get much of a look last year at all, given the injuries. You also have down a little bit lower. You've got the Sweeney Brunet, who is another young kid that I would like to see get an opportunity this year. So maybe they're going to try to open up some space there. I do think you're going to see at least the Boston Bruins try to make a move there, but I'm not expecting any huge bells and whistles here. If you're able to move a Yoki Haru, or does the Mason Lohrei conversation come back? I know before the draft, there was a lot of conversation, a lot of smoke around Mason Lohrei, maybe getting moved to a place like Anaheim or something like that. Hasn't happened. And I'm kind of on the fence with that, with Lohrei. I've always kind of had a love-hate with this kid. I love the top-end talent that you see, especially offensively. You just haven't seen enough growth and development. They're in year 2 of this 2-year contract, so we'll see what the team is able to do with him. We'll see how Mason can develop. End of the day, I'd love to see this kid develop into a top 4 defensive player. I don't think he's quite yet. You saw small improvements last year, but then too many times just making the same mistakes from a defensive perspective over and over again. But again, he's young. He's still just 25 years old. And we'll see what happens. I could see another team being interested in him for the right price. So more to come there. We'll see what the Bruins do, if they're able to make any sort of move from a defensive perspective. Looking at the free agent market, it is pretty light out there right now. There's not a lot left that, at least in my opinion, would really help the team right now. You've got guys like Eli Tolvanen out there, Marcus Johansson, of course, Patrick Laine. He was in the news this week. It looked like he was going to Philly. That looks like maybe it's pulled off now. There's a lot of questions about him from injury perspective, long term. Former UMaine Black Bear defenseman Ben Hutton is out there. He's a free agent. But as I look at the list, do any of them really make sense for the Boston Bruins? Could you go out and get a Tolvanen and have him under the cap? Sure. But where does he fit in to the top 9, let's say? I mean, you're not moving, Middlestad down. You're not moving Hustadinov, down, in my opinion. I just don't think there's anybody out there right now that's left that's really worth it, that's going to really help this team out. I just say, let's let some of these young players play. I know we don't know about James Hagens yet. We don't know what he's going to be. But I think you want to figure it out. I think you want to give him that rope, give him that opportunity. How is Minton going to produce after a really strong year last year? Of course, Hustadinov is there. You have, of course, the new kid in JJ Peterka, who's going to be playing up in the top 6. So I don't think there's anybody out there that I would really want to spend the money on, as much as there's some okay names. There's nothing that really strikes me that's going to really make a big impact. So I'm happy that the Bruins haven't spent right through their last dollar. They've got a little room to move and work with. Let's let this youth evolve a little bit. One name we haven't talked about yet is Matty Poitras, the last RFA on the Bruins roster right now. Will Matty sign? This is kind of the question that's been out there. I know other podcasts have talked about this already. Again, had a decent year in Providence a year ago, got into 69 games, 13, 31, and 44 for himself. Just 3 games up here in Boston last year, had the 1 goal, 4 penalty minutes. So, not a lot there. Did get into 4 playoff games, of course, for Providence, and had 4 points. So, despite the Bruins not winning that series, the P-Bruins not winning that series, Matty played all right for himself. I do think something gets done here. Again, you have that little bit of money left over. And I think just in watching Fabian Lysell and Georgii Merkulov leave the organization after really not getting much of a run, you kind of want to see what Matty can be. You go back to 23-24, he got into 33 games, had 15 points, looked okay. 24-25, got into another 33 games, maybe struggled a little bit more, played 40 games that year in Providence, so he was a little bit up and down. I think you got to give him some rope, a little bit like a James Hagens. You got to find out what you have in this kid. You wait too long, you lose that opportunity. So obviously Matty's going to have to earn a spot on this team if he does happen to sign. But I'm more bullish on that this year than trying to go out and getting a Marcus Johansson, let's say, or an Eli Tolvanen. Let's work with some of the young guys you have here. So that's really all I have for you guys today. Not a whole lot else going on around the NHL or around the ECHL to discuss. We do have another Maine Mariner that will be joining me on the podcast here end of the week. I wonder who that is. I guess you're going to have to tune in and find out. We'll be excited to get that podcast out. It will probably come out either Friday or Saturday. Not quite sure yet. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening today. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. Absolutely helps me out here. And until next time, everybody, be kind, show love, and God bless.